it's not just about people skills. It's not just about having a good slogan you because a company, especially as it grows, it becomes a very large machine. The only way to make sure that you're doing things right is to keep it very.
So, hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Boardroom. Joining us today is a very special guest all the way from Korea. It's Felix Kim, who is the founder and CEO of Redrob. So, welcome to the show, Felix. How are you feeling today?
Yeah. आप समय कर खुशी हुई. मेरा नाम Felix है. Thank you so much for having me here, Ritesh. And yeah, I'm feeling great, and I'm very excited that we're doing this podcast today.
So, it's very rare to see foreigners speak Hindi, and glad to our audience. They can connect with you more, and you just gave a very interesting introduction, I would say, there, and it was very accurate. So, before we dive into the topics covering your entire experience and how did you learn Hindi, first of all, please tell the audience what is Redrop and what exactly do you guys do?
Sure. Redrob is an online skill testing platform using AI. We are using AI to automate the entire recruitment journey. We know that recruitment is a very age-old industry where there are still a lot of boring and mundane parts, and we're looking to deploy AI to take out all of the boring parts and leave all of the only the fun things in recruitment.
So, can you please elaborate more? Because the current recruitment process, how it goes, like you build a resume, there is a job application, you just paste your resume there, wait for you to get shortlisted, then the assessment and interviews, and then your final recruitment process goes on. How Redrob is revolutionizing this industry?
Sure. So the core of everything, I think, is our skill testing system because we feel that people should be given a chance. So basically, what happens is that people, when you look at job posts, they might say you need 7 years of experience, but even if you're 3 years, you only have 3 years of experience, or even if you're a fresher, you might be really, really skilled enough to get that job. So what we do is we try to assess talents and skill sets as correctly as possible with AI and with our AI assessments, so that if you are qualified for a 7 year, like a really high senior level position, it doesn't matter if you're a fresher. It doesn't matter if you have, 2-3 years of experience. If you have the skills, you can get the job. So that's the core of our automated automation system.
Yeah, that's a really amazing procedure because I've seen a lot of talented people getting rejected just because their experience didn't fulfill, and some are really skilled but they're still getting rejected. So I guess this assessment and the skill test that you guys are providing are really great. So let's come to the another question. Like you had just given your introduction in Hindi. So as you know, Hindi is one of the largest
Hanji.
spoken. Amazing. Hindi is one of the largest spoken language in India. So how did you learn Hindi, and what's your history with Hindi?
Yeah. I mean, I love India. I've been in India on and off for around a total around 3 to 4 years, I think now. And my journey started back in 2018. Back then, India was the second largest population in the world, but last year, it overtook China to become the largest population in the world. And my belief since 2018 is that by the year 2042, India was going to become, if not the world's largest, but at least the world's second largest superpower in the world. And that's why I made a vow to myself since 2018 that I'm going to learn Hindi. But still, right now, मैं हिंदी नहीं बोलता है, but थोड़ा थोड़ा I'm trying to learn. I'm still in my journey of learning.
Amazing, amazing. So you speak really good Hindi, I would say, because there are no mistakes and it's perfect. So I can vouch for you that you know Hindi. You just need to get more practice and you'll get better. And even you can speak better than us because we don't speak Hindi as much. We should. It's our natural language. It's our almost national language. So we should speak it more. But nevertheless, there's one more thing that I wanted to know. What is that? What are those things that fascinates you about India? Because you have been to New York, you have been to Korea, and all the other places, and those people are really talented. So, what's the thing that inspires you the most to work in India and work with Indian people?
I think the special thing about India is that it's if you look at Hinduism. I think that is the special sauce about it. It encompasses everything about India that makes India special. It is a mixture of so many different small religions that encompasses and construes like this rainbow and or a mixture of identities, and that is exactly the power of India. When you look at India, you can see a culture, an amalgamation of both, Eastern and Western cultures, and the fluidity to be able to embrace the good parts of, I think, everything about human life. And of course, India has the population to support that growth. So when I look at India, I see, first of all, the world's most diverse country, and second, the world's largest country. And these two mixed together, I think, is just a recipe of growth. It's and again, I think, compared to most other countries of India's size, I also think that being the world's largest democracy also helps so much diversity and so much innovation to happen.
Talent, you can say talent, like I've seen a lot of talented people, and it's the reality, like most of the Indians just go abroad, or they are being bought there by the giants. They hire people from India only to come there in US and all the other places to work for them. So I believe this is one of the great things about our country and the talented people, and it's really, I would say I'm feeling proud to see such entrepreneurs coming to India, establishing their headquarters, establishing their offices in India, and working with Indian people, and at the same time adoring our culture. So that's really inspiring to hear. Well, let me also quote something. So earlier we had an interview scheduled with Felix, and unfortunately, due to some reasons, Felix was not able to attend it. So, being a founder, being an entrepreneur, it's not a big deal. Sometimes you have higher commitments or schedule issues that you might face. So, you might skip some interviews. Okay, that's a reality. We all accept that. But the very next morning when I woke up, I got an email, personal email from you, apologizing for not attending the meeting because you were tired, and you have written honest reasons why you were not able to attend that. And to be honest, it inspired me a lot. And I've also shared that email with my colleagues and my friends. Like, look at this, being a $1 million company's founder, owner, a CEO, is apologizing for not attending a small interview. So this is how we believe, like how culturally rich you are, how disciplined you are, and how much you respect other people's time. Is it something which is being taught in the Japanese or the Korean culture from your childhood, to be punctual, to respect others' time and everything? Is it something in the culture only?
Well, I'm not sure if it's culture specific though. I mean, I really wanted to be on the podcast, and I was really genuinely very sorry to have missed it before. I mean, genuinely, and I didn't want to, like I didn't want to give you any excuses. I really wanted to be here. I thought it was like, and I think, this is a wonderful podcast. So yeah, I mean that that had to do the most with that. Yeah.
So everyone really praised your efforts, and everyone was so impressed. And they also told me, like, please bring this man again because we want to listen to him, the reasons why he's so punctual and how he made that. So that was one of the reasons that I wanted to ask you. And I believe this is some qualities that every person should have. So I learned a lot from you. That one email like really inspired me to respect other time and all the efforts that you have to put in. So thank you so much, Felix, for that. And I hope the audience can relate with this more. So I've
No,
also
no.
put a
Thank
LinkedIn
you,
post
Ritesh.
on that, and people loved it also. I've got a lot of engagement, so people loved it. So that's amazing to hear. Moving on, you have investors in your company. Can you tell me something about your company on the basis of the finances and your net worth and how much investment it has got, and what are your future plannings?
Sure, sure. So we last year, in the end, I think it was around so it was around 6 months ago now. So around September, we raised our first seed round of around $4 million. That's around 32 crores, I think. And we raised the money from some of the largest VC firms, investment firms in Asia. Some of them include billionaires similar to, like, I guess the Ambanis of and the Tatas of Korea and Japan. And I'd say that, to be very honest, personally speaking, I think it's uh, being getting this investment was a very significant step, not only for us but also for the Korean and Japanese economy as well. Because I think a lot of the investors, when they were investing in us, they were actually investing through us, betting on India. For a lot of our investors, which are very large firms, they we've been singing that India is going to become the next world superpower for 5 years now, since being established in 2018. And it's the first time ever that these investment firms have started listening and started to actually believe in that dream alongside us. And I think it was a landmark investment for a lot of Korean uh, um, venture capital firms as well. And yeah, I mean, more investments will be pouring into India through from all over the world, I believe. And um, yeah, and up till now, a lot of U.S. VC firms like Sequoia, Tiger Global, these companies have invested, but I think not a lot of East Asian countries and investment firms have yet invested. But now I think we're just at the cusp. We're just at the beginning now. Over the next 10 to 20 years, um, a lot of investment firms are going to be investing in the future of India.
Amazing. So there is one doubt that I wanted to ask, and I believe most of the young people also have the same doubt. Like once you get invested, one investors has put their money on and they have a certain stake in the company and everything is there. So as a founder or as the owner of a company, do you lose your grip on the company or the decision making, the independency in the decision making? So can you make independent decisions now, or do you have to take information or agreement from your investors?
That's a really excellent question, Ritesh. And I think now I can actually answer honestly. Now, first of all, of course, this is a reason why you want to be a little picky about who you bring on as investors. Some investors, like every investor is different, similar to how every person is different. Some investors are going to be very hands-on. They're going to be very much I guess they will question a lot of your decision making, and they will ask a lot of questions. Other investors will be much more hands off. But I'll tell you this: good investors who have good reputations, they will ask you questions. So it is true that you do lose a little bit of grip on your company, but I think, honestly, I think that's healthy. The reason I say that is because actually last a few weeks ago, when I missed our initial interview and I sent you that email, um, I was actually called into a 5 hour investor meeting, and like I mentioned in that email, and then they asked they asked me a lot of very hard questions about our decisions for 2024. And of course, it's always like, as a CEO, I think, and a founder, I think it's important to have those checks and balances in place, so that, and because they, like, of course, like, it makes my life more difficult, and of course it's kind of like having a boss. I think, because they come to me, they ask me, like, why I'm not doing this or that, why I'm deciding to do, like, pursue this strategy instead of this other strategy. But I think it's really healthy. Looking back, like, I still have routine investor meetings virtually every week. Every Tuesday is my day with investors. But I think I they ask a lot of hard questions. Sometimes I get scolded, but I think it's, oh yeah, I like just today is today is Thursday, so just 2 days ago I was scolded very heavily by my investors. But I think it's healthy. I think generally you do lose a little bit of grip on your company. But I think it's healthy and good for the overall company because you're now thinking everyone's in the same boat. You're I'm trying to grow the company, the investors are trying to grow the company as well. So I think it's in everyone's best interest. Uh, yeah, so that would be kind of like my answer, Ritesh.
So extending to this question, like as you have said, like as a founder, you want to grow your company, and as an investor, they also want to grow a company. But are there in if I say like some investors genuinely want you and your company to grow, and there are some investors who just want their money to grow. Are there people like this in the outer world?
Yes, yes, of course. That's also an excellent point. Um, but um, I would say that in like from what I've seen in later stages, that kind of that road diverges more. So like I think what's good for the company and what's good for one investor might differ. But in the early stages, I would say that it's relatively the same. I would say that and of course that's why you want to vet investors more. You want investors with good reputations. And I think also it depends on who, like inside, like just this is just kind of like I guess a pro tip, a very technical detail, but um, inside every VC firm there is going to be a point of contact, which is going to be your partner, probably a partner who is going to be the most in interacting with you. That person's reputation matters extremely important. It's extremely important because that person is going to basically decide whether that VC firm is going to go after the money or go after the company's best interest.
So that's a really amazing answer, and I believe it will really help people to understand how the industry actually works. So moving on, there's one more question that I want to ask. Do you have a co-founder in Redrob?
Yes, I have a founding team. I would say yes, yes. So yes.
Are they your friends, or you have found them, working with them, and got the experience? Then you gave them that position.
It's a mixture. But I would say in the end that I also differs from founder to founder and from company to company, but I believe in working with friends first, and then because again, in friendship there is that ultimate trust, and I think it's very difficult to grow a company when you don't have that fundamental level of trust. So yes, I would say I would call my co-founders friends before colleagues. Yes.
So let me tell you a little bit about us or the culture here. Like most of the people don't want to start their business or start their company with their friends, because there is a common thing that you can never make your friends work unless and until they want to. Because just imagine, they are your friends, they know you top to down. You have those funny moments, you have those professional moments, and you just go to your friend and say, please get it done. So it will be more difficult to get it done by your friends as compared to someone who is dedicatedly working to you. But yeah, you have a valid point also of gaining that trust, because you trust your friend at the end of the day. You know, he or she can handle me whenever I need him or her. So this is how the things work. But there is one more point that I want to ask in the extension of your answer, like how to find the right co-founder.
Ah, that's a really good question. That's an excellent question. Honestly, I feel I'm very lucky in the sense that even after 5 years, I think my co-founders are have not left us, and we have never gotten into a fight still regarding. I mean, of course, we get into small fights, but nothing too big. Um, the reason I'll tell you this, and of course people will differ on this, but I've seen a lot of companies die out after they receive like their first initial couple of funding rounds. The reason is because once you become funded, once you have crores and crores come into your company, On paper, you're going to be worth a lot of money. Now, that doesn't mean that I have a lot of money to spend. It just means on paper, because, like I give away a percentage of the company and my shares to investors. And then based on that valuation, on paper, I'm going to be making a lot of money. Now, your co-founders alongside you are going to be making a lot of money as well on paper. Now, once that happens, quite often people get greedy. And then once people get greedy, I think that that is the number one way of killing off an early stage company. Because yes, and that is why I feel that in the end, I would go for someone I trust, who knows, and I think that belief in creating something uh, and number one is trust, and second, I would say, is the belief in creating something really truly valuable, uh, in serving the market, and in building an amazing product, more than the pursuit of money itself. I think that's very important because in the early stages, I've seen so many companies go fight over like stock percentages and a lot of
Equities and
that, and that's
everything.
exactly, yes.
So, coming back to another question, like you have recently received a fund of $4 million, which is equivalent to 32 crores in India. So, how did you break down that investment? Like, how much should I invest? How much should I keep? Or how much should I burn? So, how did you manage that? What's your breakdown of that fund?
Sure. To be very honest, to be very honest, of course, we have like we like generally speaking, we're looking to spend, like around half of it on marketing and sales, and then like around like uh, uh around 25% of it on product development, and then another 25% on other things, and on for emergency cases. But I'll say this. Uh, of course, in order to be funded, you have to present the investors with a very detailed understanding of how you're going to use the funds. That being said, after you get funded, you also do because the funding process takes a long time. I would say this: when I started, I heard that the average funding round for early stage fundraising lasts 6 months on average. That is the data that I had in my head. I thought to myself when I started, okay, like that's the average. Like average takes 6 months. I'm gonna close it in three. Like that's what I thought. That's what I initially thought, because I thought, okay, like I can do better than everyone else. I'm gonna close in three. But at the end, it took us exactly 5 months and 15 days to actually close it, and that's when I realized, okay, like it actually takes a very very long time from this very start to getting to signing the contracts and getting the money inside the bank. So what I'm saying about this is that in 6 months a lot changes. It's half a year. So at the end of the fundraising process, the market's already going to have changed. So you're going to have to rethink how you're going to allocate funds and what your actual strategy is going to be. I think that's inevitable, but it's just because it's inevitable because the fundraising process is so long.
So that's really amazing. And obviously, you cannot tell us the entire breakdown because it's going to take hours, I would say, because you know all the percentage and you have to be very precise with the amount. Like you have to have a tally of each and every penny that you spend. So you have to put it to the investors also. Well, coming to the topic also, so you are a tech-based startup, or I should SaaS startup, right?
Yes, yes.
Being a tech and sales startup, you're heavily invested into marketing and sales also. So coming to a company, what is more important for an early stage startup, for their tech or SaaS product to be more better, or their marketing and sales should be better?
I'll tell you this. Uh, Personally, I think marketing and sales is the most difficult thing that in the entire world. Uh, that's why I say, as a general, and this is something that someone told me. In general, you should be spending twice as much on marketing and sales than on products. So I would say that marketing and sales is extremely important. even more so than product for an early stage startup. Now, of course, some people might disagree, and of course, I would say that every startup is different. But given my experience, I would say that if you understand the if you understand the market, you're going to be very good at marketing and sales. If you're very good at understanding the market, you are going to end up building at least a decent product. So that's why I would say that if I had to choose between the two, I would say marketing and sales.
So marketing and sales, because it's a very big domain, I would say, because there is no limit of creativity and the studying that you have to do being a marketing guy, being a sales guy. Well, I am surrounded by tech heads, I would say. Like everybody's a techie around me. I'm the only person who's got interest into marketing and sales. I'm the only person in my entire friend circle or in my entire college. I'm from an engineering background. So if I have to go into marketing and sales, if I want to be a good salesperson, I know marketing and sales are two different things, but if I have to be a good salesperson, so what are the qualities should I have inside me, and what are the things that I should learn that might get me placed in your company?
Sure. No, so Ritesh, I'd say this. I'm still trying to be, like I'm still learning, I'm still growing myself. So I wouldn't say that I know all the answers, but I'll say this. I think for marketing and sales, it's similar to engineering in the sense that you really need to have a system. So what I mean by this is that I'll just give you a very simple example. For us in our company, every week we ask our customers to score us. We call that an NPS score, Net Promoter Score. We basically every week we ask our customers, um, how would you how much would you recommend us to like someone else on a scale of 1 to 10, and then we ask them what we can improve in our product. We do that every week, and with that information we understand what their main pain points are and what they need, what their actual needs are. um, Getting that discipline in, I think, is the most important thing in marketing and sales, because that's going to help you understand exactly how the consumers customers are using your product and what they need. So I would say that it's 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 not just about people skills, it's not just about having a good slogan, you because a company, especially as it grows, it becomes a very large machine. The only way to make sure that you're doing things right is to keep it very disciplined. So for me, my method for marketing and sales is that you you ask your customers every week, like similar to what we're doing, what they need, what their main pain points are, and you just hammer that into your marketing and sales team and into your product. Um, that makes you very like it's like a knife. You sharpen it every day so that you can slice the market very effectively.
That are some really good insights, I would say, Felix, and definitely I would implement that in my life also, and I'll share with the people who are interested in the sales and marketing, because getting it from a founder who knows the industry, and as you have already mentioned that you're also learning every day, so it shows like the learning never ends, the knowledge never ends. You have to keep your learning curve ready all the time, and you have to learn accordingly. So that's amazing to hear. So let's come back to India. And there are one more thing that I wanted to ask you. Like I've already said that you have been to New York, you are in Korea, you have also worked in India also, witnessed the culture. So if I have to ask you, how long will it take to India to become the next superpower when it comes to entrepreneur and startups? And can we see a new and bigger Silicon Valley in India?
Of course, I would say it would take around 15 years.
15
um,
years.
15 years. Uh, the reason is because my first visit to India was in 2018. Um, the speed of development that I saw in 2018 compared to now, it's incredible. I would say that everything is growing at around 3 times faster right now in 2024 than I saw back in 2018. So I believe that so I'll tell you this. I like when I look at real estate prices in Noida. back in 2018, people say, like people told me, oh, it's like uh, housing prices are growing like crazy. In 2024, people are still saying housing prices are growing too fast. I'll tell you this. I believe that to make it very simple, within the next 15 years, I think housing prices in major cities in India are going to be higher than housing prices in New York or Silicon Valley. There is going to be like Bangalore and Gurgaon and Noida and like these major, like tech hubs are going to be where the next 100 unicorns, the next $100 billion companies are going to come out in the world.
So, to be honest, I'm feeling really proud to hear such statements coming from you, seeing my country grow, and we can soon become a superpower when it comes to startups and all the industries going on, the entrepreneurship, and maybe we can see a couple more, I would say like 50, 20, 100 unicorns coming in India soon. So we wish you best of luck. Hope so that Redrob also becomes one of the unicorns of this country and you be the leading face of that company. So I believe that's it that we have to cover in this interview. We have got through some really interesting questions like investor psychology, the sales psychology, how your company works, your culture, your mindset, your love towards India and your country. So it's really amazing to get such insights from you, Felix. And it was such an amazing conversation with you. And thank you so much once again for coming to this interview and sharing your insights. So, is there anything that you want to say to our audience or the people out there who want to pursue entrepreneurship and want to start their own company? What are the things that they should keep in mind?
I'll end this on this note. I would say that now is going to be the best time to ever in the history of India to start a company, to start a startup in India, because the next 15 years are going to be crazy. India is going to be growing like crazy. Every company in India is going to be riding that wave of growth. So I think it's an absolutely amazing time for tech and startups in India.
Last but not the least, those were the closing quotes from Felix. I hope you come back again to our show, again to our interview with some really good insights and really good stories. And looking forward to meeting you personally, Felix. I'll teach you some Hindi also that can help you out getting through Noida and Gurgaon so that people don't scam you. I hope you are not getting scammed there by Uber drivers and Ola drivers, I believe. So that was some amazing insights and really looking forward for more conversation with you. So that was Felix, founder and CEO of Redrob. Thank you so much again, Felix, for coming to the interview. And this interview was brought to you by Geekflare.com, your trusted source for all the business and tech related news. So see you guys in the next one. This is your host and dost, Ritesh. Till then, bye-bye.